Today, our speakers will take us through an exciting journey covering design, innovation, and the business world. So we will have a glimpse of these disciplines and how they utilize tools. After each of the talks, we have a session for Q&A, and that's where you, the audience, get to be a part of the conversation. One important note as well is to not forget to use the hashtag تنوين.
بالضبط. Do not forget to use the hashtag تنوين. ليش؟ أنا يعني من الأشخاص اللي دائما أنسى الأشياء يعني وأخليها to the last minute. مين منا ما يسويها؟ يجمع باقي ساعتين، باقي 3، خليني أحط الألارم على 5 الصباح، عندي ساعتين يمديني أخلص البروجكت. التسويف شيء مهم في حياة يمكن أي مهندس للأسف، ولكن في حياة الكثير. ولكن في الأخير إحنا نخلص أعمالنا يعني بأفضل وجه. مين معاي بالله يعني ارفعوا ايدينكم عشان بس تطمنوني معاي ناس. يا سلام يا سلام، مرحبا بالمسوفين. الآن راح نستمع كثير عن التسويف وإن شاء الله نغير رأينا عن التسويف.
بالضبط. عشان كذا I'm excited to introduce our first talk actually of the day. I am a procrastinator as well. I was ashamed to raise my hand, but I think that we will have a very fruitful conversation with our speaker. Our next speaker is Khaira. Khaira Bundaqji is going to take us through Thanks Procrastination, our first talk of the day. And she will give us somewhat of a shocking point of view about procrastination.
Interesting.
Just to give you an overview about Khaira Bundaqji, she's actually a personal branding and life coach, and she works closely with professionals and entrepreneurs who struggle to be visible in person and online. So let's kick off the day with an exciting talk with Khaira Bundaqji. Everyone, please give your hands up for Khaira Bundaqji.
Can you hear me okay? So I'm new to handheld mics. So anytime it goes this way and you can't hear me, you're gonna yell, "Mic," okay? So let's go ahead and test it. If I am talking and you can't... My people, I am so excited to be here and to talk about this. What's really funny about this talk is those folks need it more than anybody else. If you're not familiar with the word procrastination, I'm about to lay it down. So let's get started with my journey. So I have been a student of procrastination for 9 years. What does that mean? It means in real time, I recorded every skipped commitment, every hour I wasted time, every unexpected behavior, and every time I felt guilt when it came to my commitments. I don't recommend this, but on the screen you can see 1 year of procrastination as it looks on my calendar. Take advantage of my insanity. Do not do this on your own. This is what I learned. So my procrastination fell in 2 categories. One was leaving the present and instant gratification. What that meant was it was so interesting to me to Google the history of a meme when I needed to submit a report instead. Whenever I was about to update my LinkedIn profile and do something that I really wanted to do, I ended up jumping into, oh, well, 2 weeks ago I promised my neighbor that I would get her cat food, so I should probably do that now. And then I would completely ignore updating my LinkedIn. It also showed up as, and it might show up as feeling better. For each of us, it's going to look really, really unique. So when it comes to me, Netflix, video streaming, social media, all of that stuff, let me just put aside the commitment I have and do this for like 5 minutes so I can recharge and really focus when I need to start again. The other category it fell into is really interesting. Choosing comfort over growth. And a lot of people think comfort means whatever feels better. But actually, comfort is whatever is familiar. So when it comes to avoiding uncertainty, if you know that something is going to happen and you know that you're going to fail at it, sometimes that's more comfortable than doing something that you might be really good at. And this is so important for creativity especially, because when you're creating something for the first time, yes, we do avoid the risk of failure, but we can also avoid the risk of success. What if you finish your report on time? Then everybody's always going to expect you to finish on time. That's not the pressure that you can handle. What if you get that promotion? Then everybody's going to think that you have to keep working that hard. This happens for many reasons, and when I work with clients, especially when it comes to being visible and showing up in the world and promoting themselves, productivity always comes in. The biggest issues they have is they dismiss their needs. When we take a nap instead of doing the work we said that we would do, when we jump into Netflix instead of going to the place that we said that we would go to, it's because our body needs something and we ignored it. Your goal might be too scary to you. Your goal might be too scary to you, and that's why you don't move forward with it. And finally, your plan doesn't fit reality. And I'm going to talk about this a lot later. But you always have a choice. You always have a choice, and before you make your choice, let me tell you what you're up against. You will feel a sense of urgency. Everything is due at the same time. Everything has to happen at the same time. You will feel fear. You will feel fear. And that fear can come out in a lot of different ways. Sometimes, for me, whenever I'm afraid, it comes out as anger and being irritable. You will be self-critical. Ugh, of course I didn't do that right. I can't do anything right. Of course I was the last one to be picked for the promotion because I'm not that great. You'll feel confusion. What am I supposed to do now? Was I even supposed to do this? You'll feel self-doubt of asking, is this even something I want? Do I even want to be a creative? Do I even want the goals that I say that I want if I'm not doing anything about it? You will believe myths, and I'm going to debunk these myths shortly. You will believe, and you might believe it now, that the first step has to be perfect, right? The first step has to be perfect. Otherwise, how do you know you're going in the right direction? You'll believe that doing less means stressing less. If I just take 10 minutes, if I just take 2 hours to relax and then get back to work, I'm gonna feel better. Wrong. You'll believe that you have to live up to expectations in order to deserve good things. And the way this shows up a lot is we think people who are already successful deserve ease. And we don't deserve ease. We don't deserve a break. Again, you always have a choice. And now I'm going to tell you how to do it. So, will you choose presence over instant gratification? Will you decide to be here and accept reality for what it is? Will you choose growth over comfort? Will you have the courage to face uncertainty? You can experience reality because you do have needs. You do need sleep. You do need to eat. You do need to have fun. And you do need to hang out with friends and do things that enjoy. Your goal is yours. This is something that a lot of people miss out on, and we're going to be talking about that a lot more in my workshop for any of you who are in the personal productivity workshop. Your goal is yours, you own it. And reality happens. So here's my quick tips. I'm going to zoom through this so that I can get to the really yummy part of what you can do when you face a deadline. So when it comes to urgency, you focus on progress. When it comes to fear, you can create calm within yourself. And when it comes to self-criticism, you can gain evidence as to why you're not that bad. You can gain options when you're confused. And when you're doubting yourself, you can go back to the value system that you have in place for yourself. These feelings cancel each other out. Really, I mean it. If you're confused, how can you be confused when you know it's urgent? If you doubt yourself, how can you doubt yourself when you think you're the worst thing to ever happen to the world? It's not possible. It's all an illusion coming from a sense of fear. Here are the truths, the facts that I have seen again and again. I have ample evidence. The first step is an experiment. You're not going on the right path. You're creating your path. Thinking less means less stress. So if you do something that helps you think less, worry less, but also gives you a charge and connects you to your values, you're going to be recharged to do the next thing. And finally, you deserve good things. You deserve to have fun. You deserve breaks. And we really forget that. We end up adrenalizing and jumping into coffee binges and staying up all night the night before the deadline. Let me tell you what to do when you have a deadline. I simplified it so you can't tell me, Khaira, I'm happy to say that I recorded all of my procrastination for 9 years and that's why I missed my deadline. No, don't do that. Instead, if you have 1 day to a deadline, create a sense of progress. I'm gonna jump into that now. When you have a week, create an option to be calm. Create moments where you can remember that you can handle it. If you have 2 weeks, collect evidence as to why you are the best person to complete this task. If you have a month, create options and take advantage of those options. Think about who can you get in touch with? Who can you ask for help? And how will you ask it of them? And of course, if you have longer, and if you're joining the workshop, get values behind the goals that you have. Understand what impact you want to put into the world, and I promise you, your work is not going to need procrastination because you'll probably prefer doing that over anything you can stream or enjoy on social media. So here's the thing. If you have 1 day, there is an amazing method called the Pomodoro method. And what it is you work for 20 minutes, you take a break, and then you work for 20 minutes. You take the break even if you don't want to take the break. You work even if you'd rather have the break. And what this does to our minds is it gives your body a chance to realize that, oh, actually, I really do need a break. I do need to calm down. Thank you. For me, my body says, thank you, Khaira, but it will use your own name when it thanks you. If you have 1 week, you're going to create time to mindfully procrastinate. Schedule in, if you know that there's a task that you really don't want to do, add an extra 2 hours so that you can Netflix as much as you want without feeling guilty about it. If you have 2 weeks, study why shame and fear aren't important. Why is the risk of failure or the risk of success less important than the goal you have? And finally, options and values. Create a network for yourself. Understand what it is that you want to do, who can help you, what can help you, what skill sets you have. It's a tall order, don't worry. I will put these documents up on the app, so download the app and get in touch with me to find out more. In all of this, why should we be grateful for procrastinating? Why should we be grateful for running away from our commitments? Because it teaches us so much about ourselves. The mind works with us and gives us inspiration and procrastination to guide us on the path that we're meant to go on. So take advantage of it, and thank you for procrastinating.
Thanks, procrastination, and thank you, Khaira. That was incredibly wonderful. And I really appreciate that you mentioned that we should have fun, because I truly believe in that statement. So amongst all the messiness of life, I think it's an important reminder for all of us. Now, we have the opportunity to ask Khaira any question we would like. So please, if anyone has a question, raise your hand.
Or tell me how you procrastinate.
That's
So
a
that's
good
also
point
an
too.
option. No questions? I mean, I can talk for hours, so I really have no problem with that.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. If I have so many things I want to work on, how should I choose which things to work on? Like, how do I prioritize what's important and just ignore the rest?
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
How many of those things that you need to work on were created by you, where you made up the deadline and you made up the goal?
Almost half of them.
I mean, this is a perfect example of how mean we are to ourselves. Why did we have those tight deadlines in the first place? It's because it's comfortable to think that, oh, I can't handle all of this. Let me run away from half of this stuff. And what I see again and again with all my clients when I work on productivity with them is all the things that they made up for themselves when it comes to self-care, when it comes to spending time with family. Those things are just naturally on the side for no reason. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Be nice to yourself.
I'll try my best.
Thank you, Khaira.
I saw a question here.
Hi. I think we delay things because we overvalue our sense of freedom. We want to be the masters of our fate. Yet we know that at the end of the day, we have to meet the deadline because otherwise we're going to be punished in a way or another. So how do we balance between the two?
Make them into one. What do I mean by this? So yes, that is so true that we believe the myth that when we relax, we're free. But that's not real relaxation. When there's a deadline in the back of our mind and we're hanging out and relaxing, we're still thinking about that. We're not present, we're not in the moment. We're using it to what I call numb ourselves, where we're trying to run away from what we actually need to do. If our work was a path to freedom, we wouldn't procrastinate. Or if it's something where it's a new skill that we're not used to, then how do I put this into words? If it's a new skill that we're not used to and we're uncertain about it, at least we'd be honest that if I learn it or if I get help on it, I can go to freedom. Does that help?
If I may add one point.
Yeah.
Many people claim that they work better under pressure. So they deliberately pressurize themselves, corner themselves until they freak out. Then they shine.
Yes.
Does this make sense?
I actually use that. So if it works for you, if adrenaline does work for you, it takes a lot of work, but I figured out how to trick myself. So I figured out how to make up a deadline that's sooner because reality happens. So I make up a deadline and I pretend that that is the line of death, which is what a deadline is. Thank you.
Thank you, Khaira. We have room for one more question. Let's go ahead.
Could you pass the mic? Yes.
Okay, I work in a public relation and I'm so busy with my clients all the time. Even during my weekends, I can't have a family time or a friend's time. Even overnight, I get calls, emergency calls from my clients with the breakdowns. So I had to sacrifice my own time, my fun time, so I can manage my work time. So how can I get back my fun time and my own time, self-time?
So, are you a freelancer? Do you do it on your own or is it part of a company?
No, I'm the manager and the head of everything.
Okay.
So all the work and pressure is on me.
Yeah. So you're not going to like my answer. When it comes to crisis, we had a pretty significant crisis when it came to medical practitioners and what they had to do in 2020 and 2021, right? So they didn't have downtime. The hard part is once you get clients and they're set, then you're kind of stuck. But if while you're getting clients, you can create a timeline. So for example, I know I budgeted, just like I budget my finances, I budgeted my client time. I know that there are hours that certain clients can have, and I know how much time or how many crises will go to each different kind of client. I don't know if you can do that. Since you're the head of it, it might be a lot harder. But the reality is filling up your cup is the only way that you can sustainably help anybody else with their PR, right? So if you have, a heart attack in the middle of dealing with a crisis, that's not going to help your clients much, right? So it's that balance between how do you negotiate with them and how do you let them know that actually this is a baby crisis, let's wait until it's a level 2 crisis, something like that. Negotiation and options are always possible.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Khaira. Thank you everyone for participating.